This is Bot City, and I'm Jet West. Today on the show, Elon Musk donated $38 million to a political cause, watched it disappear in just 4 years, and then waited another 4 years before taking legal action. We're breaking down what happened to that money and why he's fighting back now. Elon Musk's $38 million is already gone, spent, consumed. A forensic accountant testified under oath that every dollar Musk donated to OpenAI was used up by 2020, and the legal deadline to sue over how it was used ran out in August of 2021. Musk filed his lawsuit in 2024. So the most expensive AI personality clash in legal history might not actually be decided by who lied to who betrayed whose mission, or whether Sam Altman is the kind of person 5 of his former colleagues were comfortable calling a liar under oath in federal court. It might be decided by a calendar. That accounting testimony is what I want to stay on, because coverage of this trial has been so thoroughly seduced by the Musk-Altman dynamic that it's treating a potential procedural kill shot as a footnote. We'll get there. First, the setup. 9 California jurors have spent roughly 4 weeks listening to a fight that started, depending on who you believe, either because Elon Musk genuinely cared about AI safety and got betrayed, or because Elon Musk wanted total control of OpenAI, didn't get it, left, watched from the sidelines while ChatGPT became a cultural event, and then decided the people who built it had stolen something from him. OpenAI's attorney put it more economically. Mr. Musk abandoned OpenAI for dead in 2018. The number at the center of all this is $38 million. That is what Musk invested in OpenAI between late 2015 and May of 2017. The company is now valued at $852 billion. The foundation that nominally governs it holds approximately $200 billion in equity. Musk is seeking billions in disgorgement. The judge at one point forced his attorney to either retract the claim that Musk wasn't seeking money or formally drop the claim for billions of dollars. The attorney retracted. That is a thing that happened in a federal courtroom. Now, the statute of limitations. To sue over a charitable trust, your claim has to relate to events after August 5th, 2021. Musk's position is that the triggering event, the thing that turned, in his words, concern into conviction, was the Microsoft $10 billion investment in 2023. The moment he realized, as he testified, that Altman was trying to steal the charity. That's his clock start, 2023, which is after the cutoff, which means the lawsuit is timely, which means the jury gets to weigh the actual merits. OpenAI's counter is a 2018 term sheet, a document spelling out investment terms nearly identical to the 2023 Microsoft deal. A document that Musk's own advisors reviewed. A document that Siobhan Zillis, Musk's special advisor and board representative at OpenAI, voted to approve. Under cross-examination, Musk admitted he didn't read it in detail. The structure of what he claims blindsided him in 2023 was on paper in 2018, and his people signed off on it. If the jury decides Musk knew or reasonably should have known the shape of what he's now calling betrayal back in 2018, his clock starts there, not in 2023. And if the clock starts in 2018, the statute of limitations window has long since closed. The judge has already written that if the jury finds the claims are time barred, it is highly likely she will direct a verdict for the defendants. The whole case. Over. Not on the merits, on the calendar. That forensic accountant testimony is the part coverage keeps stepping over. According to reporting from a single source, so take it with appropriate weight, all of Musk's donations were fully spent by OpenAI by 2020, before the August 2021 cutoff, which means even if a charitable trust existed, even if Musk's $38 million came with strings attached, the argument that those strings were violated may rest on donations that were already consumed for their stated purpose before Musk had legal standing to complain. The money did what charitable money does. It got spent on the thing it was raised for. The forensic accountant's job was to establish that timeline, and it does significant damage to the theory that Musk can claim ongoing harm from funds that no longer exist. And then there is the question of what the strings even were. Musk's side argues his donations came with conditions, perpetual ones, conditions strong enough, as OpenAI's attorney phrased it, to tie OpenAI up in knots. The witness list assembled to describe those conditions includes Musk's financial advisor, his chief of staff, and Siobhan Zilis. All three testified they could not describe any specific restrictions on the donations. His own team could not name the strings. The charitable trust Musk is suing over, the one with specific forever lasting conditions, is a trust nobody wrote down and whose conditions nobody who worked for Musk can specify. Altman's position is that providing ChatGPT for free fulfills the mission of sharing AI benefits with the world. That framing will either land or collapse, depending on how the jury reads benefit of humanity. But at minimum, OpenAI's attorneys have something to point at. 5 witnesses called Altman a liar under oath. Not random critics. Ilya Sutskever, the former chief scientist. Mira Murati, the former CTO. Helen Toner and Tasha McCauley, 2 ex-board members who voted to fire Altman in 2023 and were then themselves ousted when he came back. And Musk. Sutskever wrote a memo describing Altman's consistent pattern of lying. Toner described a pattern of behavior around his resistance of board oversight. Altman, for his part, testified that he believes he is an honest and trustworthy business person. The jury gets to weigh that. Musk's attorney was clear about the stakes. If the jury doesn't believe Altman, OpenAI cannot win. OpenAI's attorney was equally direct. Musk's testimony is contradicted by every other witness. What doesn't get examined is what a Musk victory would actually look like in practice. The trial is expected to lead to a separate set of hearings on remedy. If Musk wins, does OpenAI's for-profit structure unwind? Does $852 billion in valuation evaporate? Does the equity that Microsoft holds, that employees hold, that investors across 8 years of fundraising hold, simply dissolve? Nobody covering this trial is explaining what billions of dollars of disgorgement means when the thing you're disgorging has become one of the largest companies in the world. Even the plaintiff's legal team doesn't appear to have a fully developed theory of what winning looks like on the other side. The foundation is not a clean story for OpenAI either. The board chair testified the foundation didn't hire full-time employees until earlier this year because of, quote, the challenge of converting equity to cash. A charitable foundation with $200 billion in notional assets that didn't employ anyone full-time for most of its existence is either a structural impossibility or a governance failure. And the explanation that liquidating equity is hard is being accepted at face value when it raises a sharper question. If the foundation couldn't access its own assets for years, in what sense was it governing anything? Outside the courthouse, a small group of protesters with signs about healthcare workers and AI labor held the only testimony in this entire proceeding from anyone who isn't a founder, investor, or board member. One of them said it plainly. Who's really winning? The two of them. She was not wrong, and she got one paragraph. The judge has been skeptical of Musk's framing from the bench. She pointed out directly that despite his stated concerns about AI risk, he then went and built a competing AI company. She told the jury this is not a trial about whether AI has damaged humanity. That instruction matters because Musk's expert witness, an AI researcher billed at $5,000 per hour, spent his testimony explaining AGI risks in the abstract. The judge has been pulling the proceedings back toward the narrower legal questions every time they drift toward the broader cultural argument Musk's team wants to make. That narrowing is the tell. The judge already wrote the roadmap. If the jury finds the statute of limitations bars the claims, she directs a verdict. The entire argument about charitable trusts, about mission betrayal, about who said what to whom in 2017 at meetings where Altman described Musk showing them memes on his phone in a good vibes session about Microsoft investment terms, none of it reaches a verdict on the merits. It all stops at the calendar. Musk's $38 million was spent. The deadline to sue over how it was spent ran out in 2021. His team cannot name the conditions that were violated. His own board representative approved the 2018 term sheet for the deal he says blindsided him 5 years later. The jury doesn't need to decide whether Sam Altman is honest. It needs to decide whether Elon Musk was already on notice, years before he says he was, that OpenAI was going in the direction he's now calling theft. If the answer is yes, the most watched AI trial in history ends not with a verdict on the future of artificial intelligence, but with a ruling that the plaintiff read his own documents too late. Thank you for listening to the Bot City podcast. If you like this episode, show us some love with 5 stars and a follow. Keep bussing.
Grab news. Thomas.